Hello, horror fans. Welcome to Death by Podcast, the horror movie podcast where we go through the alphabet. We pick a vintage horror movie for every letter and we talk about it as long as it's available on VHS. Right, Kevin?
Yeah,
correct.
That's the one stipulation.
And this is episode 40. How cool is that? It's another landmark
Milestone. I guess. I mean, it's a zero. It's like in comics
it's
where
zero,
every 0 and 5 is considered an anniversary issue.
So when we get to 50, we have to restart. We have to renumber.
Yeah.
I am your host, Adam. That's your other host who's already speaking.
Kevin.
Messed it up. No. Welcome, folks. Welcome. Episode 40. Today, I had G, right? This is my letter.
Yeah.
Letter G. And I chose 1985's Slop Fest Monster Mash Ghoulies. This one goes way back for me from when I was a kid. But so we're gonna get into that. Before we get into that, Kevin has some news. What do you got?
Well, we got some. We were talking a little bit before. They released a trailer for the Firestarter TV show that's going to be on Peacock.
I watched it. You didn't.
I didn't. I don't know. I know Drew Barrymore's in Firestarter. Yeah. I know it's a Stephen King property, but that's.
Oh, you never see the original movie?
I've never seen the original.
It's been a while, but I saw it. It's been a long time. It's a solid 80s adaptation of a Stephen King book. This new trailer, it's got what's his name, Zac Efron, and then
really, he's in it?
He's the dad, and then a bunch of other people, and then a girl who starts fires. So she's like pyrokinetic, and the trailer was fine. I'm sure the movie's gonna be fine. It's Blumhouse. Usually
it's a series.
No, it's a movie.
Are you sure?
I think so. Pretty sure it's a movie.
Oh, I guess
yeah.
Right. I guess when I saw Peacock, I assumed it was a series.
Oh yeah. They're probably going to do what they did with Halloween.
Yeah,
pumpkin pies tonight. But anyway, the trailer looks fine. The movie, I'm sure, will be fine. It's not like it's cool, but the trailer had some really cool music. It was very 80s. The thing that bothered me about the trailer though was that someone, the government or somebody's after her when they discover that she has the powers to blow things up. So the whole story is basically the dad and the girl on the run. There's an agent that's chasing them, and she says at one point in the trailer, she's like, she's the first, and someone's like, first what? And the lady goes, superhero, and I'm like, man, fuck off. That's not what the story is about. She's not a and I don't know, it's a trailer, who knows.
Oh, that's cringe, man.
Where they're gonna go with that, but that's just like jumping into the big time bandwagon of what's going on.
Can you imagine if it were really happening, like the shit in that movie, and somebody said that to you, you'd be like, shut up. It's not a thing somebody would actually say unless they were the worst person.
Just the fact that they're referring to this, because from what I remember in the movie, like this little girl, Drew Barrymore, she's, she can do this thing. Obviously it happens when she gets angry or scared or whatever. And it just gets out of control. And there was never a thought that it was a horror. It was more horror than or sci-fi than some superhero or something. But that's just stupid to put in the trailer. It's like, really, you guys are that desperate for people to see your movie that you got to latch onto the superhero genre in some weird, desperate way. Shut up.
Yeah, I'm with
you.
And
I haven't even seen the movie. It's not even out. Just shut up already. What else you got for news?
Scream 6 got greenlit.
Shut up.
Six Scream? They're
making 6 Scream?
And I almost saw Scream 5 the other day.
Oh, really? Almost.
And I almost so we got a night off from the kids, and it was like we went to the movies. And
what'd you see instead?
Spider-Man, which I had seen, but my wife hadn't seen yet.
Oh, you had already seen it. That's right.
I saw it opening weekend by myself, and she wouldn't see Jackass. I was really in the mood to go to the movies because I wanted to see Jackass.
There's a new Jackass movie.
Jackass 4 came out on Friday.
Get out of here.
And I really wanted to see it because I love Jackass. But she was like, "No, I'm not watching that."
Good for her. Good for you.
She was like, if we went to the movies all the time, I'd go with you. But
yeah, Not for the one.
She's
one
like, I
of
haven't
the
been in the
year.
movies. The last movie she saw in theaters was Ghostbusters,
Okay.
Afterlife, and the last movie before that was like when I tricked her into seeing ET, which was like 2 years ago.
E.T. Did you say E.T.?
Yeah, did I ever tell that story about when I tricked her?
No, I know that when she watched it, I don't know.
She refused to, like, that was a movie.
Yeah,
she's like
she
that with
refused to
Rain
see
Man
it.
2, where she's
Right.
like, I'm not watching it.
Right.
I'm not doing, like, I don't want to see it.
Yeah, I remember this story.
Yeah, and then I told her we were going to see something else, and then when the movie, like,
she's like, you son of a bitch.
halfway through the movie, like when she's like, is this fucking ET?
Halfway through the movie, she didn't realize.
I don't know. She either figured it out, because I don't think they say ET at the beginning of the movie. They might.
No, but it doesn't matter. Like she knows what, she's a human being who's alive. She knows what ET looks like.
Yeah, but he doesn't show up for the first little bit. She did
Really?
figure it out relatively early. I remember it was in like the forest still. So I think it was like the scene where like with the Reese's Pieces, like she was just like, what?
Yeah.
This isn't.
Sometimes you tell me things about Linz, and I'm like, I'm worried about her. I don't know.
No, she figured it out pretty quick, but she was like, is this fucking ET?
Is this
son of a bitch,
motherfucker? Is this?
And then at the end, I was like, what do you think? She was like, it was good. Like, yeah, it was good. I'm like, yeah,
it's awesome.
Like,
what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Well, that was the only way to get her to watch it.
I hope they do a sequel. You saw the commercial, right? The ET commercial with Elliot. It's from a year or two ago. It was like
no, I don't think I did.
Oh man, that and the Gremlins. Did you ever watch?
I'll
the
look it
Gremlins
up.
one?
I mean, it sounds like it's the same commercial.
I'll send them to you. It's like
I saw the Gremlins
the original cast. You know, like it's like Elliot. He's got a family, and ET comes back to visit, and it's like this whole. There's like an extended version. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Scream 6.
So
Scream 5. She was like,
Cream.
I'll see Scream 5 if you want. And she's like, but I haven't seen any Scream since the first one.
5 Cream. Yeah.
And I was like, really? She's like, I might have seen the second one. She's like, I don't remember it. So then I was like, all right, let's do it. And then in refreshing her, like what had happened in all the Scream movies, I got to Scream 4 and I'm like, you know what? Fuck this movie.
Really?
Like, yeah, because I had the same, I don't want to go. Like, I don't want to, I'm afraid they're going to kill Dewey. Or I'm afraid they're going to kill one of the 3 main characters from the other thing.
It's just going to kill them all.
Yeah, but like that it bugs me. It's like it's the same as in like Nightmare on Elm Street like 4 when they kill everybody that just survived Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Like that should be your reward that you get to live the rest of your life. You made it to the end. With
Welcome
Freddy,
to prime time, bitch.
But yeah, and I'm fine with Freddy because those movies were outer. But like, I just don't want. I don't want to watch Dewey get murdered. And I went and saw Scream 4 thinking it was going to happen, or they're going to make him the killer. Because for some reason, I have like a really soft spot for Dewey.
Dewey's cool
from Scream.
He's a weirdo in real life, but yeah, he's cool.
I don't know why. I really, really, really like that character. And
I don't know anything.
You know,
I've stayed away from spoilers on this one. It's crazy how good I've gotten at staying away from spoilers. So any of you listening, if you throw spoilers at us, you're fired. But I heard that it was like a reboot, but I'm like, it's got the same cast.
It's not. I mean, it might. I think it's like a soft reboot, which they already did. They did that with 4.
But why? I don't understand the people call these things like Force Awakens. They're like, oh, it's a reboot. No, it's not. It's number 7.
No, it's a soft. I like the term soft reboot. Like
there's nothing soft about it aside.
Well, it's not a
Harrison Ford's
sequel.
penis,
It's definitely, hey, we're gonna redo the franchise, but it's in continuity with the other movie.
If
but
anything,
we're trying to restart this franchise so we can make more of these.
It's a bring back. That's what they need to start calling it. Oh, it's a bring back, dude. They're bringing it back. What do you mean? It's a bring back. Oh, they're bringing it back. Cool. That makes sense.
Yeah. I like Legacy sequel. In fact, I was sitting with Here's
call something a legacy.
A friend of mine called it a legacy sequel, which I think that's a real term. My friend mentioned it. This is 10 years ago when they first start doing them.
Yeah.
You know, more and more. And he said I said what should we call it when they bring back a franchise from like 20 years ago? Like, or do a sequel to a movie like Dumb and Dumber it's been,
Matrix, the new
30
Matrix
years.
movie.
Yeah. And he said a legacy sequel, which I assume he had heard somewhere. And I go, shouldn't be legacy sequel. Like that's easy.
You're fired.
And
that's it.
That's gotta be. And I'm not saying I made it up. It was an original thought. That's what these should be.
What'd you call it? A lequel? A legacy?
A legacy sequel.
A legacy?
As in like legacy sequel. Like it's,
Legacy sequel. That's what you said?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
It doesn't roll off tongue as much as I
Unbelievable.
thought it
I
did.
can't wait. I know there's at least 2 of our listeners that are gonna be like, did he really say that?
I think they'll be like, that's genius. Like,
oh, dude, it's a bring back.
Okay, we can go either way. I don't like them.
The new Matrix one is like.
Can you think of any?
About,
yeah, the new. Did you see the new Matrix? We've talked about it.
It's garbage.
Yeah, it's at least it's interesting. Like it's not what it
really.
Can you think of any? I know you like Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I can't think of one besides Blade Runner that I'm like, that was good. I'm glad they made it.
That they bring back.
Yeah, like they're like I can't think of one good prequel either.
Prequel.
And I know you.
Phantom
you like
Menace,
those,
dude.
Yeah, but for another podcast.
I don't know. I mean, on the spot, I'm sure if we thought
but that's the thing. They come out
something.
all the fucking time, and like, you know what I mean. If I was like, there's no good alien movies, you'd be able to be like, no, there's this, because there's a shitload. Like there's, it just drives me crazy.
That's kind of a good example right there. The Alien franchise, like those things are usually like 5-6 years apart,
Yeah,
and they're all good for the most part.
I liked Prometheus, but like I don't love, like I don't know. That one I guess was okay, but it was also
the new one was whack, I thought.
Yeah, Alien Covenant sucked. In fact, Alien Covenant made Prometheus worse. I don't want to get on Prometheus because like I liked it as a movie until I hadn't seen Alien in a while. I went back and got into the Alien movies again after it, and it doesn't work. it doesn't match up, and it makes like if you're looking at it in continuity with the other movies, it's dumb.
Dude, it's got Idris Elba in it.
Yeah, sure does.
With the sleeveless hoodie that I invented. So what's up with that? You said you had some Rab Zombie.
Oh yeah, Rob Zombie news on Instagram. I tell you, his last like few posts. I know you're always like fuck Rob Zombie, but I think you'd get along with him.
I'm sure I would.
Yeah,
I don't want to sit with him and watch his movies. That's all.
His last 4 posts have been cool. He posted a picture of Bigfoot when he was on Steve Austin.
What?
Like on the Steve Austin show?
I don't know. What that
$6 Million Man.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Bigfoot, so there's a Bigfoot episode. Yeah, and it's a badass looking Bigfoot.
Really?
But it's a picture of Steve Austin with Bigfoot, and he looks awesome. And it's a big paragraph on how awesome this episode was. And then
that's cool.
Then he had to post about the episode of What's Happening where the Doobie Brothers. He's like, oh, it's my favorite episode, and like had a story about it and everything. Like, and then he I
can hear that song. I can hear that theme song in my head right now.
What's Happening?
Yeah, it's so good.
So then I know exactly. It just pops in there as soon as
That show was awesome there.
And then he put up a picture of like one of his gig posters from like 40 years ago. It was 28. He's like 28 years ago, and it was like the February 8th. Whatever, and he was like, playing some club. But then his new one, his new post is neat. It's just he's got a shirt on. It's Alfred E. Newman from Mad Magazine, but he's also like Frankenstein.
Okay.
And it was just a shout out to like, hey, these guys sent me this shirt. Here's the name of their website. Check them out. I was like, that's fucking cool.
So he's posting all this stuff, but nothing about the monsters.
Nothing new about monsters.
What a dickhead! What is he doing, man? I'm not excited for it anyway. I never was, but I want to hear news about it. I want to see.
I want to know as little as possible, unless they cast Eddie. Oh shit! I meant to text you.
They haven't done that.
I don't know if it was him or somebody else. Somebody posted a photo from the first episode of season 3, which never happened. Like
season
they
3
shot
of what? Oh, monsters.
The monsters. They shot some of season 3, and then it never aired. And it's like Eddie is sitting on this like
space. Is it Monsters in Space?
No, he's sitting on this like giant like monster hot rod.
Oh snap! Okay.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Well, in the movie, excuse me, in the movie, Monsters Go Home or Monster Go Home, whatever, where they go to Transylvania. There's a car race in that episode. Have you or in that movie?
I've never seen it. No,
it's really.
I don't
good.
think I have.
So there's a car race, and Herman is in a hot rod. He's like in this weird little hot rod. It's weird.
Maybe it's the same one. I'll send it to you.
That's probably where Zombie got the, what is it? Dragula?
Probably.
It's like burn with the witches and bitches and
That's when that song came
Dracula.
out. It was fuck. I was in high school. That was awesome.
Ugh, it
That
was such a
song.
massive song and it was everywhere. I was like, can we listen? Can we please listen to Pearl
Yeah,
Jam right
it
now?
was it was everywhere you went all the time.
It was either
And
Dracula or Daughter. It was one of the
for
two.
Pearl Jam,
Yeah, it's like
those are like 10 years apart.
yeah, but the
But
Daughter
I
was
remember you're
being
right
played
about
all
Daughter
like
too.
for like it's still being played right now. I can hear it. It's on the radio. All right. Well, that's cool. I guess that's cool news. Yeah, I would totally get along with Rob Zombie, but I just don't want to hang out with him. And he's like, "Hey, you want to watch some of my movies?" I'm like, "No, dude, I don't." All right, let's watch Monsters or something from the Sci-Fi Channel from 1988 on the Patreon. All right, dude. Is that it? What else you got?
That's it. That's it on news.
Did anybody die? I feel like somebody died. Some horror. Somebody. Rest in peace.
Yeah, not that I can think of.
Yeah. Let's do Ghoulies. Let's talk about Ghoulies.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Ghoulies?
Yeah.
So
Let's do it.
1985 Ghoulies, a fun little behind the facts or whatever you call them, behind the fact scenes. This movie was in production the exact same time as Gremlins in 1983, 84 ish. I know Gremlins came out in 84. Whoever did Gremlins, Universal or whoever, they sued the guys that were making this movie, Ghoulies, so that they didn't use the name and they lost the lawsuit. But it delayed the release of this movie long enough so they get Gremlins out first.
There were a lot of things that delayed it too. Yeah, they had to stop production like 2/3 of the way through because they ran out of money.
Yeah, right.
And so that pushed them back. And then after that, the studio was like, we want a Halloween release date.
Right.
So it came out, I think, in 1985. While
right.
But
it wasn't Halloween. I think it was March. I want to say.
I don't know. And I only heard that. So I mentioned this before we started recording. Yeah. I watched this movie 3 times.
Right. That's crazy.
In 2 days. I watched it once just to watch. Second time I took notes, and then I discovered that I had that it had a commentary track, and I watched the commentary track.
So you have the Blu-ray?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So they talked about it. I watched it once and I was like, yeah, I'll buy the Blu-ray. It's but I haven't watched any of the other bonus stuff. Just to the commentary. They talk about that. They talk about the lawsuit from Warner Brothers, or it was Warner Brothers.
Was it? Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, and then the director says that they wanted so I don't know if they got it, but they said that was one of the reasons it got pushed back too.
Interesting. Which is crazy because it was a massive success. Cost $5 million, it made $35 million.
Yeah, and this is interesting.
And 3 sequels, so there's 4 Ghoulies movies.
So yeah, this is actually, there's a lot of really cool behind the scenes stuff about this movie.
Yeah.
So the guy, oh god.
So I take it you dig this movie?
I did, and I liked it better each time.
Okay, cool.
Like the first time I watched it, I was honestly the first like half hour, I was like, this is lame. This is gonna be. I was ready to make fun of it, and then
there's plenty to make fun of.
By the end, there really was. I was like, this is lame. We're gonna make fun of it the whole time. But then, like, by the end, I was into it. The second time, once I knew where it was going, and I knew the setups like that they were establishing, like what was gonna pay off later.
Sure,
I was into it, But yeah, one crazy thing is that. So, God, do you have his name? The writer director?
Yes, I do. It is Luca Bercovici.
Yeah, he's on the commentary track.
All right,
and they essentially they paid him to write it, and then his director fee, they didn't have the money. Like there was no money at the studio. It was kind of like collapsing.
Yeah.
So they said, we'll give you 25% of the gross.
No shit.
But then
so he's set.
So it bombed. I'm sorry. It didn't bomb. It made a shitload of money.
Right.
The studio was just like, nah, it didn't. We're still in the red. We didn't make any money. And then him and this other guy wound up having to sue him. And the studio was collapsing. And at the end of the day, they were like, listen, studio's gonna be gone. Like, so we don't have any money to pay you. Why don't we just? They worked something out where they got like a fraction of a penny of the rights to it. Like, so when I bought the Ghoulies Blu-ray, they got a cut. They got a whatever. Yeah. But he's like, it wasn't 25%, but he's like, it was the best we could get at the
That's
time.
crazy.
And it was
What's
like,
do you
fuck
know
it,
what
we'll
studio
take
it
it.
was? Let's see.
It was called Empire. They've collapsed immediately after this movie.
But it was a great success.
Well,
much
here's what's
success.
cool. Well, I shouldn't say it collapsed right after this movie. It actually, they were in trouble when they made this, and this gave it the bump.
Yeah.
And that, you know what? And I shouldn't say it was right after, but this gave them the bump to make like a couple more movies, and the movies were like Reanimator and something else, but like really good ones. Or it was the other Stuart Gordon movie. Whatever. I'm drawing a blank.
Frankenhooker, not Frankenhooker.
No, but they did that, and then they went out. But during that whole time, that's when they were getting sued.
Sounds like they were just being shitty.
Yeah, and the way this guy talks about it, he's like, this isn't uncommon, like to fuck, because it was an independent movie. They made it for like fucking nothing.
Yeah,
and
$5 million.
Yeah, and it was cool. Like when he was talking about writing it, he was like, well, we had the restriction. We knew we could rent. We wanted to make it. We wanted to shoot it in one location. That was the entire like motivation. So we wrote around that, and then we wrote the script in 10 days, and then we started shooting it like a couple months later.
Right. Yeah, that's wild, man. This, I know it's lower budget than, Gremlins, and obviously the talent behind the scenes and thought put into it. But it's always funny interesting to me when you see, like, they were both in production at the same time. So it wasn't like Gremlins came out and they're like, hey, little green monsters are popular, let's make Ghoulies. It was like, they had the idea simultaneously, which is weird. Which to me says
they're not
that
really that similar,
To me, well, true, but yes, I mean,
I think the success is probably because of Gremlins. Like packaging. Gremlins was
sure.
Yeah. Oh, then they probably leaned into it in the marketing, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
But
to me, that says that there was something in like 82, 83 that was like, that got the ideas in people's heads that was like, Gremlins, Ghoulies, let's do that. So I'm wondering what that was.
I wonder if it was like, I wonder if it was just like maybe E.T. and it was like, what if E.T.'s like killing people and he's like tiny, like.
You sure?
There's another movie.
Maybe Mac and Me.
Mac and Me was a straight, yeah, right. But no, there's another one. I forget what movie it is that they were making one movie and then Gremlins did really well. I think we talked about this. Gremlins did really well while they were making it, and they changed. Oh, just Critters. Critters, that's what happened 86. With Critters. Was originally it was way more about the bounty hunters, and the Critters were barely in the movie. They were like a side note. And when Gremlins blew up, they were making. I mean, this is what people say, right. And they said, no, you got to fucking. We need more of those guys. And then they named the movie Critters. Yeah. Like after them,
Well, after that whole like 84 from Gremlins, 84 till, like 87 or so, there was a whole slew of these Munchies, Hobgoblins, Critter. And I've watched them all. There's a lot of bad ones out there, but the Ghoulies ones, man, especially this first movie, the second one's good too. I don't think I've seen 3 and 4, but number 1, this one, like, after I've told the story before, my dad took us to the drive-in to see Gremlins, and I was like, this is amazing. And I watched Gremlins as soon as it came out on video like a million times. But Ghoulies was one that was like, obviously a smaller budget and a smaller take, as successful as it was, but I think it came to like video faster or on HBO or whatever. And I must have watched this like a zillion times. There's scenes in it that when I rewatched it a couple years ago for the first time in a while, there was also some of it that I didn't remember, but there was some of it that I was like, yeah, like the clown stuff, that's iconic in my brain, dude. It's such a weird, creepy, attractive, weird clown thing.
You know what is like this was always on the shelf at the video store, and I just never rented it. And I don't know why. I honestly think, great cover. And I honestly think it's because it was on on a higher shelf, and I just never
like physically.
Yeah, and I just didn't. And anytime I remember debating about renting it a million times, and then just getting something else. Were
you a short baby?
Yeah, I was I still am like relatively short, but
but
fair enough. That one, You know what's wild though about, because the cover is the Ghoulies coming out of the toilet.
I love it.
I think it's kind of a Mandela effect thing. That's the first thing everybody remembers about this movie.
Right.
Like if you bring up this movie, people say, is that the one where they come out of the toilet? And I wasn't even sure if that shot was even in the movie. It is for like,
it is for,
but it's a 2-second shot.
It's not. Yeah. It doesn't look in the
and
movie.
It's not like they kill anybody out of the, it's a, you know,
in the movie, it does not look like it does on the cover, but it does happen. And he just kind of like pops up at one point and then they cut away.
I would say that cover is more famous than the movie. Like more people remember the cover of the box, like Shocker, you know, like
yeah,
than the actual movie.
That's a weird one.
Yeah,
Wes Craven.
Yeah, like, but
who's the guy that plays Shocker?
I don't remember.
It's a famous dude that like is famous today. I can't remember.
It's not Michael Rooker.
Oh no, it's no, it's not someone who's. It's the Mitch Pileggi from the X-Files.
Skinner. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, right.
Who is like the last person that you think is that guy on the cover?
Yeah,
it's weird.
Oh, Michael Rooker, I think is Henry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Portrait of a Serial Killer. So
yeah, they all kind of blend together for me.
Yeah. So what about this movie? I mean, you don't usually watch movies 3 times, even if you're watching it to like take notes once or whatever. So what was it about this movie in particular? I know you love and I do too.
Well, I wouldn't even say I loved it. Like I liked it a lot. Yeah. It wasn't at all what
Plus
I thought.
You bought it, man. You bought it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, it was worth a buy. I own worse movies than this, and I was really interested in the process too. Which I bought it for when I saw it had a commentary track and a shitload of. I was like, yep, I'm buying this.
That's cool.
You know, because I'm more interested in how, you know, just like what they were doing, like how they
behind the scenes, man, behind the scenes.
Yeah, but and they didn't short out. They really.
Where did you get the Blu-ray?
Discreet Play.
Oh, okay. They the creatures in this are. It's so funny how, like you said about the VHS cover being so iconic, and yet the actual Ghoulies are like a side note in the movie. I mean, they're featured in the movie plenty, but they're not the main part of like the.
No, they're not
story.
Even. No,
it's and that's the part that I didn't remember was the whole thing with the dad. So the dad is like a occultist Satanist in the beginning, and the wife, and there's a baby, and he needs to transport his soul into the baby in order to live forever. So there's this whole Satan.
It opens on like a big like Satan worshiping like ritual. Fucking cool note. This is one of the better commentaries I've heard in a long time. Really? By the way, there's a lot of cool little things. One thing that was cool. So there's a lot of satanic rituals in this movie.
Yeah,
and what they did was he's like, we did a lot of research. You'll like this. This is very you. Like, we did a lot of research. No, but like they're like, we did a lot of research on actual rituals, but we didn't actually want to do them because we didn't know what was going to happen. So he's like, we changed them just enough. Like we would mix up words or we would change symbols around. But like, he's like, everything in the movie is pretty close to the real thing, but we didn't do it. And it reminded me of like, do you ever hear that story about John McTiernan when he made Die Hard 3? Yeah. Yeah. And like the FBI like came, like basically the scene with the subway, right? They came in and they were like where they like approached him and they were like, hey, how the fuck do you know that you really do that? You can't put that in a movie. Like, cause that would work if you, and they had to change or like how you make nitroglycerin in Fight Club. Sure. Like originally they had the real thing and they were like, you can't really tell people that, you need to change it. Yeah. But it reminded me of you in that, like, we can't really do satanic rituals. Yeah, no, I would never, ever, like, if I was making a movie, if I was making this movie and it was like, all right, this is the scene where you do the satanic ritual. I'm like, I'm going to hand them like a copy of like, I don't know, Forbes magazine and have them read from that. We're not even going to come close to like some kind of like devil shit. Did you see though, the one shot that where he's reading, because he finds the whole thing, that's another funny thing, it's got it's got the same plot, like the same beginning as Elvira, like it's the same movie. Sure. Like sure, He inherits this house from a fucking distant relative, and he goes in. There's a bunch of wacky shit in there,
Yeah.
and but so he finds this old book that his dad left him.
Yeah.
And he's like going through. He's got a bunch of spells, but when they like have a close up of it at one point, it's like the most regular guy handwriting. Like it's not like fancy, like old. It
like
looked like my handwriting.
It's just like
and it was just like
regular
it was
guy.
It reminded. I was like, that's fucking goofy.
Awesome. No, man, the whole like I really like my favorite part of this movie is the dad and his story. Like the dad is this, he's basically like he's a Satan worshiper, but he's like kind of like a warlock in a way.
Yeah.
And you know, he fails because my boy, what's his name? Jack Nance. You know Jack Nance?
Yeah, Jack Nance is awesome.
Turns out like Jack Nance is he steals the baby and saves the son until he grows up and he comes back to the house, but Jack Nance is still there. And it turns out Jack Nance is like a wizard, and there's like a cool a brief but cool wizard fight at the end of the movie between him and the dad. But I love that story and the dad, like that scene where he comes back out of the grave. That's a fucking cool scene, man.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
The way he pops up out of the grave and it's just like,
and he's slowly throughout the movie, like
coming back.
And it's cool because like, you know, the grave gets that you see it move a little. I just had this thought. I think I thought of it earlier. It's it's very similar to Star Wars. You think about it. Like the first one. Like
it's like the third weird example that you've given.
But like think about it.
So
like
far.
This guy, like he's like the Obi-Wan, where he's like, no, I gotta rescue this kid.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna stick around and make sure that he doesn't
watch
whatever.
over him. Okay.
And then he comes and then he comes back and fights his dad. Like it's the same.
Sure.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is crazy.
You know?
Except that during the before he ends up facing his dad, he goes through like a weird like evil streak, which Luke did not. Because
that was
pure good.
That was wild. Like he went on such an evil streak that I was like, oh, he's not like he's the bad guy of the movie. I almost forgot about the dad.
Yeah.
Like,
well, there's no reason to think about the dad until
he comes back.
Back, which is funny when they, when they're first, he and his girlfriend, they're like touring the house, the grounds and stuff, and they come up on that headstone, and they're like, she's like, who's that? And he's like, I don't know, but it's like got a pentagram on it, like sticking out of the ground. It's like, dude, I'm out of here. Like if somebody ever gives me a house and in the backyard there's a gravestone with a pentagram on it, don't give me that house. Give me a different house.
You know what's wild? I wrote that down too. I'm like, did this happen a lot in like the 70s and 80s where people would get left mansions from relatives they didn't know? Like this is like the fourth thing we've done where this happens. Like it happens in Elvira. It happens in the Friday the 13th show.
Yeah.
Like it, like, bro, my great uncle I didn't know left me this mansion.
Totally. Yeah, I didn't think about that with Elvira. And there's even like the evil guy in Elvira is very similar.
Yeah, and there's like a spell book that she like learns from. Like it's
right.
It's pretty. You know what? Yeah, another like little cool thing about it was they didn't. So it was written as like a straight horror movie, and it wasn't until they saw the ghoul, like the creature shop was like done with the Ghoulies.
Yeah,
and they were like, these things are really funny. Look, like we got to like lean into the comedy, and they rewrote the script with like a week before they were going to shoot it to be like, and I even rewrote the script, but like, let's make this fun. Like they made characters a little funnier and goofier.
It's not, that's weird because they don't look. I mean, to me, a gremlin looks funnier than these guys are pretty grizzled. Like
it depends on which one. And it was weird. You know what's funny?
Do you have a favorite one? Who's your favorite? Ghoulies?
Yeah, I do. So I always assumed they all matched. Like it was like Gremlins but it's more like Puppet Master where there's a shitload of different ones.
Yeah, there's like a water one, a tree one, like a spider web one.
None of them are anything close. No, I love the cat one. The one whose mouth is open all the time, and he's just like, and he looks like he's just in constant.
I wish you guys could have seen the
pain.
face Kevin just made.
Yeah, like he's constantly just like like it's what he's my favorite.
Mine is the water guy, the bald guy. Like I even drew in my note when I was taking notes. I like drew a picture of him
I thought he looked like a baby. Yeah.
Yeah, he looked, but I like that, like, he's just like, well, plus he's on the cover of the VHS.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of him too. Like, he, remember, like, there's five
several
or six
of each. There's several of each in there. And,
yeah, I thought they were all going to look like him.
Yeah. I wrote down in my notes, I wanted to know, there's got to be a reason. I'm starting to realize almost or a lot of the movies that we've watched, a lot of movies, whether they're horror or not, I think it's an 80s thing where you'll have a story that's unfolding, and then it's like somebody goes, all right, this is the part where the dickheads come in. And then it's like, there's always like a group of dickheads that come in. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's just, it's like this trope that you don't really see today.
Yeah, it's sometimes. Well, you need cannon fodder. You need, like, okay, we got to we need people to kill, and we've only got 2 characters in this movie, and sometimes it's real jarring.
It's different in the 80s, because in the 80s, like, look at these guys, like, they're dickheads, like, they're like goof weirdos, and like there's always like the cool one that nobody else thinks is cool. Like, he thinks he's cool. His name was Dick. He's like, and he's like, hey, I'm Dick. He's like, hey, I'm Dick,
man,
and my friends call me Dick.
I got some good notes on that guy. So that guy's name, the actor, is Keith Joe Dick.
Wait, what?
Okay, his name's Keith Joe Dick.
How do you spell his last name?
D-I-C-K. I mean, I don't think this is his real name.
His name is goes by. Like Keith Joe, like hyphenated.
Keith Joe Dick is like
name.
I think he's a musician, even though he's in other movies, because like when he comes on, the director and
Mr. Joe
the commentary is the director and then this guy that runs a website, and they're just like, oh, fucking Keith Joe Dick, he's so great, we love working with him. Dick. We put him in other things, and he has a band. Okay, you're gonna love the name of this band. It's Keith Joe Dick and the Dickettes.
And he plays a guy named Dick who tells people to call him Dick.
It seems like the director just likes this guy. He was like, just come on. What do you want to? Yeah, we'll call you that. Whatever.
Or the director likes Dick. I don't know. Either way,
and I guess like this guy had a show. Like he joined a bunch of band. Have you ever heard of Power Station?
Yes. Yeah.
This guy joined Power Station when one of the band members dropped out.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah, and then he invited like the whole.
Like, you're talking about Joe Dick?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think it was Joe. It might have been somebody else, but I'm pretty sure it was Joe Dick. He invited like the crew to come to a show.
Yeah.
And they went and hung out. Like, yeah.
That's wild. Wow. I wonder, I have like, that makes it sound like this movie was probably really fun to make. Like, part of the cast, as part of the cast.
They talk about how great everybody was, and like, really? I mean, it seems like they had a fucking blast shooting it.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's why commentary tracks are where it's at. I need to get into
some commentary. So dickheads, they're always and these 2 guys, the extra dickheads, they arrive on like a mini moped thing.
Yeah,
it's just like, it just sets the tone that I love, where you're like, all right, these guys are gonna, I guess cannon fodder is a good way to put it, but they to me, they serve more of a purpose in this movie, rather than, because not only are they cannon fodder, but they're involved in, like, they're a necessity for the ritual. And like that scene where they're all, it's like a hard cut, like a blink, and they're all in robes, like the white robes. That's some weird shit.
Yeah, it was good, and they did a good job of, like, rounding everybody out so you liked them. And the one guy, I forgot the actor's name with the glasses. Like, he looks, I was trying to put my finger on what he looks like. He looks like
he's been in stuff.
I mean, just the look, like, where he's got like the army jacket and the round glasses and that haircut. Like, he looks like somebody who makes bombs, like in another movie. You know what I mean? Like, but
bomb maker.
Yeah, but he just gets stoned a whole bunch in this movie, and
right.
I
love that scene, man. You're talking about the guy. That's the dude,
breakdancing guy.
Yeah, and he's got his best friend, and they're always like, whatever. That dance scene was pretty awesome.
All the drugs fall out of his pocket.
Yeah,
I was like, that's cool.
But they have maybe my favorite, maybe second favorite scene in the movie, where they go into the room, just the 2 of them.
I knew you were gonna like this.
And the clown is in the rocking chair.
He's in the chair, yeah.
And this clown is so unique as far as like clowns in movies, clown toys in movies. Like, look at the poltergeist clown. Like, it's an actual, like, sort of funhouse version of
It's a clown. This I would argue, not even argue, like this. I wouldn't even necessarily call it a clown.
It is different.
You know what I mean? It looks almost more like a vampire.
It does,
but it's in like clown gear.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, but that so he's like in the rocking chair, and then they look at it and they go, "Oh, clown!" Haha, and they're high, whatever. They're laughing at it. They turn around, open the closet door, and he falls out of the closet. That clown does, and they're startled by it, but they're like, "Oh, stupid fucking clown!" And then one of them finally realizes, like, wasn't he just sitting in the rocking chair behind us? Yeah. That's an awesome scene, man. That's a really cool like gag, and it just adds to like the weirdness, I guess, of this movie. Like it's not a straightforward, like, nothing against Gremlins, obviously, but Gremlins are in town and they're attacking. Ghoulies is like, there's more to it as far as the involvement of the Ghoulies themselves.
Yeah, there's definitely more setup, and there's more
supernatural. It's supernatural, and it's
weird. Yeah, for sure. There's a lot more like I feel like Gremlins isn't a horror movie until it is a horror movie. Right. You know what I mean? Like it's a Christmas family movie. Yeah, I mean it's a regular movie and then just becomes a horror movie kind of in the third act. This is like, it's pretty much a horror movie, but with that's funny too, but like throughout, you know, like
I guess it's funny.
You know, like there's, I mean, you could argue that might have been a jump scare if you saw it in the theater where it jumps out of the.
Oh, totally, man.
You know?
And it's a jump scare that like has substance to it, because it's like, oh shit, that was just, and if you look behind them, the rocking chair is moving. So it's almost like, it's almost like it's like, what just happened? It's
everything with that puppet is awesome.
Yeah.
Everything with the clown is every scene that
so the scene where the chick gets out of bed, she's being chased by the Ghoulies, and then she opens the door and it's like surprise, it's reaching for her, you know, the clown.
Oh yeah.
Fucking A, dude. That's the scene as a kid where I was like, that scared the shit out of me, but it also like made me want to watch it over and over. And then eventually, you know, it attacks her and the claw comes out of the face.
Well, first it starts bleeding out of its eyes.
Yeah.
And then but like, I thought you were going to talk about like before that, she's in bed and like she's with Joe Bob Dick or whatever his name is. And he gets up and leaves. And when he walks past, he leaves and like the clown's behind him. And like just because it was in the room with him, I guess. Uh-huh. But then like it's just such a neat thing because it's focused on her, like she's in the foreground and the things in the background. So the clown's out of focus, and then they just fuck with the focus so it switches, and then he becomes like the focus of the scene, and then he moves like he gets up. It's like holy shit. Yeah, that they did a great job with him.
Yeah, really good. The ritual. There's like 17 rituals in this movie, like we said, but the with the rain in the basement where he's like, so he keeps like, this is the son, the baby from the beginning, and he keeps like, he's getting more and more possessed, and we learn later that it's kind of like his dad sort of like pulling on his,
kind of like like
summoning him because he's trying to come back to life. But the scene where he's always like sneaking off to do these rituals so that his girlfriend doesn't catch him. And like he goes in the basement and starts doing his thing, and he's got the spear, and all of a sudden it starts raining in the basement. And he's sitting there like yelling like, "Oh, I am doing it."
Yeah, he's like kicking ass.
But then all of a sudden like the girlfriend comes down and she's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, that
and he like ends abruptly, and he's like, "No, wait." And she like runs off, and she's like, what did I just see? Like, what were you fucking
There's a
doing?
Bunch of weird,
it's
like
there's
there's one where she kind of catches him doing like a ritual, and she's like, well, I made dinner. So
dude, she does that, like, I wrote that down. She does that like 4 times. She's like, are you fucking kidding me? Another
like she's
ritual?
acting like a regular girlfriend. Yeah, she's acting like, I mean, I've had girlfriends like this where it's like, really, you're working on your like it's like he's building model trains in the basement, and that's the reaction she has. Like, well, I made dinner, and if you're not going to eat with me, then whatever. And it's like, dude, you just caught him making it rain in the basement. Like, what are you talking about?
She's all worried about the dinner she made.
Yeah, man.
She does that like 4 times, man. It's hilarious.
That, you know what was cool about
Get
this
over
movie
your dinner
that I dug was like I said at the beginning, I was like, this is going to be lame. I don't like it. It reminded me of like the new Blade Runner movie, in that like anytime I thought like I was smarter, like I made a note at one point, like why is it that like, you know, he's automatically good at, like, he can bring people back from the dead, or he, you know, he's automatically making ghoulies, and there's no like beginner spells, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
then like as the movie goes on, that's totally what it is. Like he makes it rain, that's like his first project, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like each one he does, he gets better at. Like then he
Right.
makes the ghoulies, but he fucks up, which we'll go back to that scene, the first time he tries to summon the ghoulies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then the next one, well, we'll get to, but each spell he does, he gets better and better at.
Until he ends up, his spell summons his dad. It wakes his dad up. And that's like the final one. And after that, he has no powers. So it's like, yeah. The small people that he summons accidentally or on purpose, I don't know. The little people.
I think that was on purpose.
What? You think it was? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I just, those are the only characters in the movie that kind of take me out of it, where I'm like, what the fuck is this? And like,
oh, they were my favorite part.
Really?
By far. As soon as they showed up, I'm like, I'm in. This is awesome.
Get out of here.
I loved it. They were my favorite part by far.
Why?
Because they were just odd. They felt like they were, it's like you said, it felt like they came from another movie.
Yeah.
You know,
it was like,
and I love that, like, when they see the ghoulies like later, they're like, I hate these fucking, like, they hate the ghoulies.
Yeah.
Like,
I love that scene where they beat the shit out of one to catch him.
Like
they like lure him over and she grabs a stick and she's just like, stab.
Okay. Yeah. Let's get on those. Okay. Wait, before we get on them, I want to talk about the first ritual, because it was just such a weird scene. So they have this like 80s party, right? Like and it's like, you know, it's typical 80s. I mean, it's like, I don't remember. Nobody has like a lampshade on their head, but it's that kind of party, you know? And
what movie was it with the lampshade on?
I don't remember. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's like Weird Science or something.
It feels like it, but yeah, it's a weird science party basically, but with only just a smaller group. Yeah, but they're having fun. They're breakdancing, and then this dude, because the whole time I'm like, are these his friends? Or are they her friends? Or what's the deal? He doesn't seem like he'd be friends with any of these, even though I guess he's going through something. He's probably not the same as he usually is, but I can't imagine him hanging out with these guys.
Right.
You know, but anyway, he stops the party dead to be like, hey, I want to show you guys something. He brings them all downstairs and interrupts the party and is like a prick to everyone, is yelling at people. He like says, trying to do this thing.
Dude, he's got an awesome line. He's just like, the way he says it, it's very James Woods. He's like,
yells at the girl,
shut up, goddamn it.
Yeah, he was, shut your goddamn mouth. Like, and everybody else is like they're acting how you would act if like someone stopped a party dead to be like, come downstairs and make
everyone.
Yeah, it reminded me of the guy in Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things.
Yeah, totally.
You know, like, hey, we're gonna do this ritual now. I know we were just having fun breakdancing, but we're gonna fucking go in the basement and do this satanic ritual. And nobody's really like, I mean, they're like, hey, whatever, this is whatever. But nobody's like, wait, what? Like, what are we gonna do? But anyway, so he fucks up the ritual. He didn't fuck up, but like, it doesn't work, and then they all go upstairs, and then one of the ghoulies, the first ghoulie appears.
After they leave, he appears in the magic circle, whatever.
But man,
and they do that a couple times where the ghoulies, and you know, after he summons it, it's like that's when they all appear kind of in their respective environments, I guess, and they just kind of show up throughout the house. Did you?
Sorry, I was just going to point out one other. I just love, they were bored. They were done dancing and they're like, what do we do now? And one guy suggests charades. The next guy suggests strip poker. And then this guy suggests like, I want to do this satanic ritual.
Dude, have you ever been to a party like that where it's like,
no, man. I know you haven't. If you have,
no. It makes me think of like
what if I had done that on Halloween? Like, hey, everybody, come in the basement real quick.
I would have been,
and I got all that shit down there.
I would have been,
and that's the thing. He didn't even have everything set up. He made them stand there while he like drew all that shit on the floor.
Yeah. If I forget what I was gonna say. I don't know.
Sorry, you were gonna ask me something.
No. About the party. I don't know. If you had done that at your Halloween party, I would have like, it would have made sense though, with all those damn kids running around. That would have made sense. And the one kid that tried to kill the other one, that was pretty wild.
Oh yeah. But yeah, then so
did you see that? Sorry, did you see that?
No, I've heard you told me about it.
Joe and I were in the kitchen and eating some chicken, and then we see this baby in a carriage thing, whatever, like an infant,
Yeah.
Just in the other room. Nobody's in there. Just an abandoned.
I know
baby.
exactly whose kid it is.
And I was like, what the, is that something that parents do? They just put their
this
kid
parent
in the other room?
does.
But then all of a sudden, like this, like
Not me,
4-year-old,
but the parent that I know who it was.
yeah. But then all of a sudden, while we're still eating chicken, all of a sudden this 4-year-old walks in, picks up one of these like giant like car things that you would sit in or whatever, toys, and lifts it up to smash it down on the infant. And we're like, wait, my brother and I are still like slow to react because we're like, is this just what happens at parties with kids?
Is that what kids do?
And then finally I was just like, yo, kid. And she turns around and was like, put that shit down, you dumb piece of shit. Like, what are you doing? You're gonna murder this kid. And then all of a sudden an adult showed up and we were like, that kid tried to kill the other kid. What?
Yeah. That's the thing that the person whose kid that is, or the first kid is. Yeah. It's a thing people say a lot at parties, like, whose fucking kid is this? Like, why am I watching this kid? I just found this kid like in a shed, or like the kid's gonna have a lot of character because people just fight like because it's like, yeah. Anyway,
what did you think about the green contact lenses?
How
weird were those, right?
Check this out. Yeah. So the first thing I thought was, I was like, that they look, so I thought it was a rotoscope, and I'm watching it and being like, but one of his eyes looks it looks weird.
Well, I think like, it was rotoscope, I think, when it was like from a distance, because you couldn't get the effect. The camera,
it might have been from a distance,
but then when it was close up, they were green lenses. Like,
they were real contact lenses.
The scene where he takes off his sunglasses to reveal to her, his girlfriend, and she's like, what the fuck is wrong with your eyes? And they didn't bother to, so they're like solid green with a tiny black dot for the pupil.
Yeah.
One of the pupils is like way up here, and the other one's like,
it's like, well, yeah, they're real contact lenses, and apparently they were really painful and they would leak. Like, and he just had to kind of suffer through it. It's the same, the woman that did them, the effects lady is the same lady that worked on The Howling, and I guess there's a similar effect in The Howling. Yeah, I haven't seen The Howling,
which is weird because that was like 81 or something like that.
But yeah, this is it's the same effects lady, and I guess it's a similar effect.
If you watch Ghoulies, do not judge, and you haven't seen The Howling, do not judge The Howling based on the Ghoulies, because it's night and day. And I know you haven't seen The Howling, so like,
I haven't.
The effects are awesome. Especially the Robert Picardo effects, like insane. Anyway,
well,
we gotta watch that. We gotta watch that.
So one thing I pointed out, and I'm glad then when I listened to made a note, and then when I listened to the commentary track, I wasn't the only one. Did you get like a gay vibe from like Bomb Guy and like Stoner Guy?
Yeah, I guess.
I only got it from like the tall like Stoner Guy, because he kept doing the thing where like you make eye contact, like you're trying to make eye contact with the guy, and like I think
they were just vibe. The bigger vibe that I got off of them was because you see that a lot with stoner characters, where it's like they're like I don't know, they're just inseparable, and like it's almost like having like Shaggy and Scooby, where you know, like I don't know, it was weird. It's weird. I've always thought, like, are they a couple? Or are they just like really good friends, or what? I don't know.
The one guy gave me vibes for sure, but then they bring it up on the commentary track. The guy asked the director, like, was there like, I mean, I pick up kind of vibes. Was that intentional?
Oh, really?
And he goes, no, they're just best buddies, man. Yeah. Like, that's it. They're just best buddies, and they love hanging out.
That's what I figured. That's what I figured.
I really like that response.
With the small people. Little people, what I still don't understand why like they're your favorite. Like,
well, okay,
characters in the movie.
For a few reasons. One, because it seemed like, it really did seem like once he made them, I got the sense like, oh, he's getting better at spells. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he made the Ghoulies because that was like not a beginner spell, but he was, you know what I mean? Like, that's all he could do. Yeah. He's getting better now. He's making like real. And I love that they knew. I don't know. I love the whole, like, they know the whole deal. They know who his girlfriend is. They have to explain like rules. Like, I don't know. They just fleshed out the world. And I love both their performances. you want to hear some cool shit about those two?
Yeah, busted.
So the guy, who had the coolest fucking mustache ever.
He did have a good mustache,
and it fit, and his voice was awesome. He showed up. He had a modified Corvette. Like he had a Corvette where they changed where the pedals were at, where the seat was at, and where the steering wheel was at. He would show up every day in a fucking Corvette.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and the other thing is, the girl was one of the people in the ET suit.
No shit. She played ET?
She played ET. Yeah.
That's wild. Huh.
Yeah. And apparently I don't know if she's still around, but like would like live life to the fullest, was just like an awesome person. Like the director wanted to put her in at least one other movie, and was just like, she's awesome. Like somebody wrote a book about her, like her life story. Yeah. Like she seems awesome to be, they had nothing but awesome things to say about both of these people.
Yeah. That's really cool.
The director says at one point, because the guy asked, like, was it weird? Like, did you feel like afraid to be condescending to them or whatever? Like, were you afraid you were going to say something was going to offend them? And he's like, I was, but like, they were so cool. That wasn't a problem. He's like, he's like, I would kneel down to talk to him. And then they kneeled down too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I can totally see. And then the director like gets down on the floor, like lays down and like has to go lower. Yeah. That's great. It's great stuff.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of this movie that I didn't notice until this, or like didn't pay attention to until this viewing, was towards the end when the dad is finally back. First of all, he's like, this dude, like he was like MacGyver's arch enemy in MacGyver. He was like the 80s. The dad, like he was
looked
like
really familiar. I think he's a musician primarily.
So I'm
not sure.
His name is Peter Liapis, and he was in like the A-Team, any 80s psychotic villain. He had that market cornered. And I love how he's just this drama queen.
He's
man.
Great.
He's great. He's great.
He chews the scenery.
He's
like
chewing.
He fits so well in like the opening scene. It like establishes one vibe, and then they jump to like the real world, like modern world.
Right.
And like they're two totally different vibes. And then when he comes in, it's like, dude, he was awesome.
And when he finally comes back and he's just walking, he's like going through the house, just screaming everywhere he goes. He's just like, ah! And he goes to the next room. He's like, ah! And like doing his hands, like he's doing his hands all like crossing them, and like doing all this weird shit. But when he's in the basement and he's finally like summoning, all the ghoulies have killed all the dickheads, but he summons the dickheads and they're all dead. How they're moving.
Dude, that was
bodies,
awesome too. Yeah.
Like wiggling, like the bodies are wiggling down the steps or wiggling down the hall.
I mean, they looked like, it looked legit. And,
that was
and
really
all that
cool
was just whatever the actor was doing.
On the actor's
like,
part, like
crawling with his shoulder and stuff. Like that was
not
awesome.
Using their hands, almost like they were being pulled in a way, like, and I love that like the girlfriend walks out just as that's happening. And she like sees one of her friends on the floor dead, but like writhing and wiggling around. And she's just like, she doesn't scream or anything. She just goes like, oh my, like and then she falls down the steps like a dickhead.
Yeah. There
dies.
There's a lot of fucking goofy cut there. Okay. I got to talk about one. I don't know where we're at the point yet, but the part that made me laugh, there's two parts that made me like laugh out loud. And one of them, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it's when basically, so it's after, so he's still got his girlfriend. She like forgives him, or actually that's wild. He summons the dwarves and he's like, hey, get my girlfriend back. And then she just comes back to the house and like kind of gets like, she's kind of in a trance and he winds up sleeping with her, or like they're kind of getting down and he starts like chanting like a spell, and she gets pissed off. What was cool was she gets all pissed off and she sees like, I think she sees like the pentagram and shit on the floor.
Yeah.
And she's like, God damn it, I am done with the spells and this bullshit. I'm leaving. Goodbye. And it's this shot of him in bed just being like, fuck. And then the next shot is him back in the basement in full fucking like wizard garb, just like right back at like, all right, you're gonna leave. I'm gonna fucking do it again. Like,
Totally,
it's so,
man.
like instead of like reflecting, like, man, I lost my girlfriend because I can't stop it. It's just like, well, if she's gone, I'm not gonna try and
go
stop.
do some more spells, man.
Yeah, it's exactly what I would do. I've been in that exact position. Like, why would I? Yeah, you left because I was doing this thing. I'm good. If you leave, I'm just gonna do that. Like, I'm only not doing it because you don't want me to do it. If you leave, I'm gonna do it more.
Right.
You know, like,
it's hilarious.
It was the best cut in the movie. And then the other one was when the dwarves, when they pull the like three kids on top of each other's shoulders trying to get in a movie.
Oh yeah.
Bit like where they the two dwarves wear a trench coat.
Totally.
Like, and they show their shoulders to
they've
like,
got their back to him.
Yeah. And they're like, hey man, like, yeah, the one stoner comes out and like, what are you doing? And then it turns around and that was so great.
It was awesome. And he throws the ghoulie at his face.
Have you seen BoJack Horseman?
No.
There's a character on that show that it's my favorite part of the whole show. It's just like one of the characters is dating, like it's their new boyfriend, and it's just like 3 9-year-olds on each other's shoulders in a trench coat. And at first it's like a one-off gag, like, this is my new boyfriend, and then like, but he becomes a major character in the show.
And he's always like 9 kids.
And nobody knows that he's 3 9-year-olds. And it's clearly like 3 9-year-olds like on each other's shoulders.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was great.
So he makes out with 3 9-year-olds?
No, he doesn't. They're dating I think his agent.
Okay.
Or it might be, yeah, I don't know. It's been a while. I didn't even finish that show, but cool. Yeah, it was a pretty good one.
The final, what did you think about I wish that there was more the wizard fight at the end. I wish that was a little elongated and
yeah.
able to see that.
And I wish there was a little more setup. You know what? The second time watching it, I was like, oh, they do set that up. Like when they show the caretakers like area, like it's got a bunch of ritual shit on the wall. And
right
when the ghoulies first get summoned, he like wakes up out of his sleep. Like he's
right. Yeah.
Like they do a lot to like,
it's very subtle, but
yeah. The first time I saw it, it felt out of nowhere that
he's just such a weird actor. Like, do you remember him in Twin Peaks in the original?
Yeah.
And he's got this line where he's just like a space cadet, but he's got this line I'll never forget where he's like making coffee for somebody like Agent Cooper or something. And they're drinking it. And somebody's like, this coffee tastes weird. And he looks in the coffee pot and there's a fish in the coffee pot.
Yeah.
He goes like, there's a fish in the percolator. And I was like,
yeah,
holy shit. He's just such a weird, cool
I
guy.
remember, man, that all that just flushed back to my head.
Yeah.
I watched some Twin Peaks, I don't know, a few years ago, but
I'm ready for a rewatch of that. But he's just a cool actor. I wish that we got to see that. Plus the dad he's a maniac.
Yeah. That whole scene of them fighting was cool.
Yeah.
Did you catch the Wilhelm scream in the beginning?
No.
Yeah. When they throw him out the window, like when he like escapes with the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a Wilhelm scream.
Oh, really? I didn't see that. Maybe I did. And I don't know. I feel like that's awesome. Didn't they retire that, or somebody said like, you can't use it anymore or something?
I don't think so.
I thought I heard.
I mean, I haven't heard it in a while. That. It's such a weird stuff. It's funny that it's such a common stock effect because it's so noticeable. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's not just a regular scream. It's like
noticeable if you know what it is. But I remember explaining it to my mom one time because it's obviously something she's heard before, but they don't realize, they just think it's a scream. And they don't realize that they've heard the exact scream before.
It makes sense.
Unless you know what it is. For look up Wilhelm scream for people listening. I don't know if it originated from Star Wars.
It might have, but I don't think it did. I think it was around before that. Okay. Yeah, because he had to have used it. Like he used it. It was
used
available
a lot in Star Wars.
Yeah, it was available. In fact, my favorite thing of all the
Phantom Menace.
No, in all the I mean, you know how I feel about the special editions,
right?
But if you're gonna fuck it up, you better really fuck it up. Which is, it's one of the only ones that they've changed and then changed back, which was I think we talked about it before. They added the Wilhelm scream to when Luke says like, "I'll never join you," and he jumps off the thing at the end of Empire.
Yeah.
And they change
That
it and
is dumb.
scream all the way down.
That's dumb.
Like, what are you thinking? Like, it's this big, like, bold, like, you know what? I'd rather die than join you. Fuck off. And then Deb scream.
That is dumb.
Down.
That sticks out like that's like almost
It's
like
crazy.
It's almost like fourth wall breaking to do that.
When I showed it to Joe, because Joe didn't believe me, and when I showed it to him, he was like, "That's fake," and I'm like, "That's real,
you
man.
Did that.
That was
you son of a bitch. You did that."
But yeah, the one that I have a note that like just when here's my one like small criticism of it. Did it annoy you that like they kept calling the girlfriend Becky and Rebecca? Okay. Like they were switching off like the whole movie between Rebecca and Becky.
I didn't notice that.
And it was driving me
but
nuts.
It makes total sense that that's something you'd notice and would drive you nuts.
It was driving me crazy.
I'm sorry about that.
But anyway, when Rebecca / Becky falls down the stairs,
it
was just the goofiest. Right after she takes off the amulet that like protects her, which didn't protect her. That was another thing.
It started to burn her or something like that.
Well, no, it didn't protect her the whole movie. Like
it
wasn't like it came in handy, and you know what I mean. And then he gives it to her, and it's like, oh, nobody can fuck with you. Like you can't get hurt with this thing on.
Right.
And then she takes it off, and then immediately falls down the stairs.
Right.
And the fall down the stairs was like
it was pretty.
Silly. It was pretty weak.
Yeah. Because that's the same scene where she sees the dead bodies sort of moving around, and she's just like, oh, and then she kind of like steps over towards the steps, and then just kind of lets it go. She goes.
Yeah, she had her reaction to everything in this movie is weird.
She had a couple really cool. I think it happened twice, where where the scene where he, what's it called? Messes with her mind, whatever. What's it called? Hypnotizes. Where he hypnotizes her, and she comes out dressed in black with the black sunglasses.
Yeah,
and then they do another ritual. And where everybody's screaming, and that's the one where the dad comes to life, and she's the loudest screamer in the circle. And then as soon as the ritual ends, it's like her scream just goes like, ah. And it was like it was a really cool scene. It happens twice with her. She has a good scream. Anyway,
she had a bunch of weird, like just weird dialogue. Like the last line in the movie,
I made dinner.
Yeah, or like,
bitch, eat my dinner.
It's over Becky, and she goes, what's the main guy's name? Jonathan.
Julian.
Is it Jonathan? Is it really? Like weird? And I was like, that's a weird.
All right, before we get to the ending though.
Yeah.
The dinner scene where all the ghoulies are coming out of the food.
Yeah.
And they're all wearing sunglasses, but none of them notice the ghoulies standing on the table inches from their face.
Yeah. And
eating all the food, which was weird. But then did you notice that they pan out, right? And then all of a sudden, none of the food, the ghoulies are all gone. The roast beef is intact in one piece, like in one big chunk, as if they were never there. And I was like, what the hell is that? And there was another really weird cut earlier on, but I forget where it was.
You want to hear a kind of a neat thing about the sunglasses?
Yeah, bust it.
So it's a little bit of like not controversy, but one of the things that was on like the websites and like other people have said this about this movie is that the idea behind the sunglasses was that it was intended to be in 3D, but only for basically you were going to get a message at the beginning. The original plan was to tell the audience, like give them 3D glasses, and then only have them on when the characters put on glasses, you put on glasses.
Okay.
But because it was only certain scenes were going to be in 3D.
Interesting.
Which was, and that's been written a bunch of places. I've heard that.
Okay. And
I'm like, that's crazy to be like, we're only going to shoot certain things in 3D. The director is like, they ask him about that, and he's like, he's like, yeah, that's total bullshit.
Oh, really?
There was no talk about shooting in 3D at all. I don't know where that fucking rumor came from.
There's no, even movies like Friday the 13th 3D, Jaws 3D, there's, whether you're watching it in 3D or not, you can see that they intentionally filmed something going towards the camera. There's nothing like that.
There's nothing like, well, the rumor was that they bailed on it 2 days into production because they were like, fuck this, it's too hard to.
Still, that would be a cool gimmick where it's like you only put them on when people in the movie have.
The guy's follow-up question is like, well, why does everybody have these sunglasses on? He's like, the idea is that like he's got to wear these glasses because his eyes are glowing. So it was just kind of a party favor. Like, hey, let's all wear glasses at the dinner.
Sure.
That's why they're all wearing weird glasses.
But even when I wear sunglasses, I can see ghoulies that are coming out of my beef. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like if I'm like eating like a steak of sandwich and a ghoulie comes out, whether I'm wearing sunglasses or not, I'm going to see it. So
yeah, it felt like they should have been under the table because they were in clear sight. Like it was like they would see them.
Yeah. They were coming out of the soup, standing there talking about like, I'm in the soup.
And the ghoulie, that's the other thing that about this is like, I don't know if they change like size or like, not that they change size, but I never got a sense of how big they actually were until like the last shot of the movie. You know what I mean? Like, are they the size of gremlins or are they like the size of like big gremlins, you know?
8
like
inches. All ghoulies are always 8 inches.
Really?
It's just like a standard rule of thumb. Google it. So what did you think about the ending? You know, like you said, like, are we like it's all over? We're saying, are we? And then it's like, you know, they come up out of the back seat and that dude, the stoner guy, like, and he's like,
I assumed you loved it because it was like a freeze frame.
I love it. Yeah, it's great. But I don't think there's any cool music playing over it. So
quick little side note, by the way, you know how they all jump in those cars at the end? That's still okay. So another thing is everybody in this movie dies pretty brutally.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of the movie, like
hard cut, they're all okay.
And like their throats have been slashed.
Yeah.
Like they've all been pretty fucked up. I wish they would have answered this on the comment. What's his name? Bomber jacket guy with the glasses. He's not in the last scene where they're all like in pillowcases and like part of the ritual.
Okay.
He's not there. But then at the end of the movie, they all come running out of the house and he's just hanging out outside.
Yeah.
I wonder why that was. I wonder if he wasn't there that day or like
bomber jackets.
I wonder what the choice. I mean, because they had killed him earlier in the movie, basically.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. There was also a weird misplaced weird scene when they first summon the dwarfs or the little people, and the male guy, the guy of them, you know, eventually he hands them a cup to drink stuff out of, but before he hands it to him, the guy is holding it, a cup of juice.
Oh, really? It's just
and then it cuts, and then he hands him the juice, and then he takes it, and it's like, what the fuck happened there?
That scene was it was weird. That scene was weird because it felt like, okay, they're going to do some exposition now. Like they're going to explain like where these things are coming from or like just kind of how the magic works or whatever.
Right.
And they didn't really. They established more questions, but like, you know, like, but it was fine. Like it worked. I don't think
you needed it. I mean,
one of the big things too that we don't know we don't know what happens to the little guy, to the dwarves.
Yeah. I don't know.
You don't see them die. You don't see them.
And the house didn't like blow up or collapse or anything. So the wizards are just fighting in the basement.
Didn't the basement collapse on? I'm surprised you didn't have more to say about the laser eyes fight, the rotoscope fight.
Yeah.
That seemed like, oh, this is like your
shit.
It
was I mean, that and the other effect or gag or whatever that I forgot to mention was the tongue.
The tongue looked great, man. Yeah.
Like serious, like Freddy moment right there. And I love that. Like, and that was Dick.
Didn't it break his head off? Like it was like so tight, maybe not, but
no, because his head, what was that guy's death? I mean, he died there. Yeah. But he was all like,
whose throat was like slit where he was like hanging.
The girl, she comes out from under the bed.
Okay.
And it's weird. But yeah, that tongue gag was pretty cool. And then when
was pretty awesome.
It's like the hot chick. And then as the camera like zooms in or whatever, it cuts, then it's the dad. And he's like, got this prosthetic tongue coming out of his mouth. But he's like, the way he's holding it with his teeth, it was hilarious.
It's a weird, like,
because that guy is just so intense.
He's awesome, man. He's
great.
You know what I really liked about him too was that he like, I love that at the end when like Jonathan's like, trying to conjure up a bunch of like, all right, I'm gonna fight you.
Yeah.
This dude is like, yeah, like I've been doing this for way long, like, and he's just so outmatched. And I like that Jonathan is like clearly outmatched. Like he's fucked until Twin Peaks comes and rescues him.
Sure.
Like I like that it wasn't like, oh, I have to overcome something, I have to beat you. Like it's just like he's no match for this guy.
Right.
And they don't ever make it where, you know what I mean? Like I like that. I like when people respect power sets. That's why I like Dragon Ball Z.
Sure.
You know.
Oh, really?
Well,
you're a Dragon Ball Z person?
I haven't watched it in a long time, but like when it was on, I used to rush home from school every day, watch Dragon Ball Z.
Hadouken! Isn't that it? Hadouken.
No, that's Street Fighter. It's Kamehameha.
Oh, right. Hadouken.
Similar moves, but yeah, it's Kamehameha.
Kamehameha.
Yeah, that's the name of the thing that shoots out of his hands.
Hadouken.
No, that's Street Fighter.
That's all I got on my notes. I think that,
yeah, that's all my notes too, man.
Are you satisfied with? There was one more thing. It's like on the tip of my head, but I can't think of it. I don't know. Oh yeah, you should try to find an episode of MacGyver where this dude, the dad, is in it, because he's a reoccurring villain in MacGyver, and I think his name's Murdoch or something like that, or Scorpion or Scorpio or something like that. But imagine this, like, intensity in a real sort of real life show, non-sci-fi, non-wizards.
Yeah.
And he's just completely just as bonkers. Like, he always has like a flamethrower and he's like torching everyone or something.
I want to look this guy up, man. Like, he seems like he'd be a perfect like villain in like just a movie. Like, he's just a fucking lunatic, man.
Yeah, he's a lunatic.
And it's so cool to see someone that's like not like he's just letting it rip, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, like, he's in him. It's like the dwarves. He's in a different movie than everybody else in the movie, and he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, totally.
You know, he's awesome. Yeah, those dwarves were when I was like, yep, this is my shit.
That's so weird. That's your shit. Little people. That's cool.
I don't know what it just reminded me of. Like, it reminded me of like a Time Bandits, or like a
Time Bandits. The bomb.
Time Bandits is because it's also little people, but like it reminded me of it. Just gave me a sense of like, maybe it's because they're wearing armor, but like Krull, or like
the bigger thing it reminded me of was Phantasm.
I've never seen Phantasm. That's another one that I always saw.
It's not like a favorite of mine, but it's a good movie. But there's these little like demonic Jawas in there. It's crazy.
It's cool.
It's weird. All right, man. Well, that's all I got on this. You got anything else on this?
No, the one thing that they brought everybody back from the dead at the end, I was curious if that was like because they wanted to get a PG-13 rating. And they asked him that on the commentary, and they're like, and he's like, no. And you know what's funny is he's like, no, we really didn't we just made the movie and then we got the rating. Like, we weren't trying to make it PG-13.
Yeah.
Which I thought he would have said, like, because PG-13, I'll bet when they were making it, there was no PG-13. This has got to be one of the first PG-13 movies.
Yeah, PG-13, I think, didn't come around until either late.
It was 85. It was 84. Red Dawn was the first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, Flamingo Kid was the first movie that like got the PG-13 rating, but Red Dawn came out first. So Red Dawn's the first one.
Wolverine.
Yeah, but movies like and I don't think Gremlins. I think Gremlins getting under it because Gremlins is PG. I think
Gremlins is PG. Yeah.
But yeah, it's all because of Indiana Jones, the Temple of Doom, and Spielberg. Spielberg was the one that really got.
They were like, no, you can't have PG with Temple of Doom because it's got a heart coming out.
No, it is rated PG. He just caught so much shit. He had made Jaws, and Jaws is PG, and then he made
Bananas. That's Bananas.
Yeah, and then they made Temple of Doom, where like, yeah, the guy gets his heart ripped out and all this shit, and people were fucking pissed, and they were like complaining. He was like, and he was the one that really was the driving force between getting a PG-13 rating. Like,
he wanted it.
He wanted it, yeah.
Okay.
And it's funny because when they started, like, the whole reason they wanted PG-13 was like to give PGs like some balls without being R. You know what I mean? Like, it was to elevate PG movies and make them a little better. Yeah. And it wound up doing like the opposite, where it was like, hey, let's
rated R movie.
Let's nerf R. Yeah.
Let's
nerf R-rated movies because only half the audience can see it.
Sure.
So I mean, you talk about the 2000s, that was just PG-13 movie after PG,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Which is bananas. I realized the rating hadn't been invented when Jaws came out, but I've watched Jaws my whole life, and I just watched it twice this week, and like that movie is not a PG movie. Like
it's
terrifying.
funny
It's
when you think
terrifying.
about it. That like, well, I mean, you think about it, like you've got PG or R.
Yeah.
What do you know? I mean, but look at Blues Brothers is R.
That's probably language, right?
Yeah, but they don't swear that much. They just it really was how it should be, where they made their movie and then submitted it, and it, you know, that's how they should do it, but it's not really how they do it now, you know. But yeah, man, good movie. I fucking dug it. I'm excited to watch Ghoulies 2.
Yeah, I've seen Ghoulies 2. I don't think I've seen 3 and 4, but yeah,
Ghoulies 3 is called Ghoulies Go to College. And Ghoulies 4,
I haven't seen it.
Jonathan comes back for 4.
Really? The same actor? Do you know if it's the same actor?
Yeah, they got the actor to come back for 4. I don't know what 2 and 3 are.
Interesting.
Like, but yeah, they got that guy to come back for 4.
That's cool.
Yeah. I'm interested in this franchise. I'm gonna check it out. I have heard that 3 and 4 are not good.
I'm sure. But probably still worth watching. I don't know. Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Let's see. CFG H. You got H?
Yeah, I got H, man.
All right. You ready for it?
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
What do you got? What do you got for H?
I had a few candidates, man, but I think
here we go. Here we go. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I got it all loaded up.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? Last week we got a request to do Hellraiser, and I was like, we really haven't. But I think we should save Hellraiser because they're doing so many remakes. Like,
right.
It's getting a show. It's getting a movie remake.
We'll do like a Hellraiser.
We'll do like a
retrospective.
I'm not. Yeah, I haven't seen. I think I've only seen the first 2. No, I think I've seen more than that. But it's one of those ones where they all kind of blend together for me.
Sure.
And because I haven't seen them in a long time. But I'm gonna do the Howling, man, because it's a list of shame movie. Yeah, let's do that.
Yes, dude.
I know you like it. You've been telling me like literally since like the week we met to watch The Howling. And you know, my thing with The Howling was, dude, my grandmother used to tape movies for me, get movies. That's why I know all these movies. And when I remember, a specific memory in my head is I came over one day and she was fucking pumped. She was excited. She's like, I got The Howling. And I know what that was. And it sounded lame to me. Yeah. I was like, I don't know what that is. And I never watched it. But then when I did watch it, like me and you, the first time we were talking, the first time we kind of talked about it, I came down, we were doing the drink and draw. I came downstairs.
The basement. I remember this.
Yeah. And it was playing.
I remember it.
And I was like, what movie is this? And you were like, it's The Howling. And I'm like, this isn't The Howling. And you're like, it is. And you know what the other thing is too? I've always had this thing. I did it, especially when I was younger, where I had like not makeup rivalries, but I would choose sides. Like, I love the White Sox, so I hate the Cubs.
Sure.
I read Marvel, so I hate DC.
Sure.
I like the X-Men, so I can't like Spider-Man.
So American Werewolf.
I was an American Werewolf guy, and I was like, fuck The Howling. Yeah. American Werewolf is the fucking werewolf movie.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was like that with that, but
that's the great thing about like this movie, and there are, like we've talked about it before, there's a handful of good werewolf movies out there. It's been so long since we've had one. But like they're like friends. All these good werewolf movies are friends. Like there's no real choosing and in the good ones, each werewolf design is different, I think. So that makes me
I'm excited.
Yeah.
But that was the other thing because I thought when we met, I thought I had seen The Howling because I saw The Howling 2. And I don't know
The Howling 2 too?
Yeah, that was the thing. Like when that's why I was arguing with you. I'm like, this isn't The Howling. And you were like, dude, I know what this movie is. It's The Howling. And I started to describe The Howling to you, and you were like, that's The Howling 2. Yeah. And that one sucks. Yeah. And I was like, well, really? And then I looked it up and I'm like, oh my God, you're right. All these years I thought I had seen The Howling and thought it sucked.
Right. I mean, The Howling 2, it's called The Howling 2 Werewolves Go to Camp. No, it's not. I don't know what it is. But like, after you watch this, I can't wait to maybe obviously don't watch the whole franchise. There's too many of them, but just
really, I thought there were only the 2.
No, there's like Howling 5, I think.
Oh wow, how many are Joe Dante involved in? Just the first
I
one?
think just the first, because
I also didn't know it was Joe Dante until recently. I think you
two
told me that
two
too.
has two has elements of the first, storyline elements of the first, but it goes off in a weird thing, and then the rest of them do, and one of them's in Australia. It's just crazy, but they're fun to talk about. So maybe read about them, or watch if you want, but give yourself like a dark room to watch this movie in, man. Because
I'm gonna really. I
it's
might watch it tonight.
it's a solid horror hollow werewolf movie.
Is it? Let me ask you this: is it one like? Is it a not just because it's Joe Dante and it's it seems like it's gonna be. Is it like a good movie too? Like, can I like? Do you think like Lynn's will like it?
No.
Yeah. Like I mean, I wouldn't let her. I wouldn't let her, but like I wouldn't have Ghoulies or Freaked.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or Frankenhooker.
Yeah, it's a quality movie.
Like it's a Gremlins level movie. Like it's a real movie for real people.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
But I just don't know if the subject matter is something she would get into.
She might. Like she's a wild card, man. She yelled at me about Batman the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to see it. And she was like, your mind, we're going to see fucking Batman. I was like, who are you?
I don't know, man. You could try it. It's very dark. It's a very dark and serious movie. It's very, there's no camp in this movie.
You know what's funny? I said all that too.
We should stop talking about it because we're gonna.
Okay. When it came out, I was not when it came out, but like I said all that about like, oh fuck that movie. You know what movie I didn't like, but I went and saw in theaters and I was a champion for was Wolf with Jack Nicholson.
God, man, that was a movie I wish. Well, let's save it.
I just wanted. Let's talk.
We'll talk werewolves next week.
Yeah,
that was definitely that movie is a weird anomaly in werewolf movies. But
it's definitely. I wasn't. I was wrong about that one.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm excited about that, dude. Howling for letter H next week for episode 41. I want to mention a couple of things on a serious but not serious note. I just found out that you can leave reviews on Spotify now. They like changed something up where it used to only be iTunes, but you can do it on Spotify now. And I know Spotify is going through some changes.
Yeah, I thought we were pulling our podcast off because of Joe Rogan. That would be awkward because I listen to Joe Rogan. Yeah. Oh no.
He's a dickhead for the record, but
Adam does not like Joe Rogan.
No, I don't. So anyway, you can leave us a review on Spotify, which would help the podcast immensely, or iTunes, wherever you want, wherever you listen to it. If you can leave a review, it would help the podcast big time. Ratings, all that stuff. It's really, really positive. Or even if you don't like what you're hearing from us, tell us how big of dickheads we are.
Yeah, leave us a review, just a review.
Like say whatever you want. We'll dig it.
We'll count it towards the thing, and if you're on YouTube, like thumbs up and all that stuff.
All that stuff. So please do that. That would be great. Also, if you want to find us on social media, you can find us at Instagram or on Instagram at Death by Pod, where we post all of our social media stuff and whatnot. Twitter at DBP Podcast. Yes, Twitter, which I posted something Star Wars related on the Twitter last night accidentally, and and somebody commented on it. I was like, cool. I was having a good conversation with somebody, and then I realized that I meant it for my Star Wars Twitter and had to delete the whole thing. And so sorry about that. Sorry about that, listener. But yeah, so you can find us there. But if you want to support the podcast directly, we have a Patreon. You can find us at patreon.com/deathbypodcast, where we post our second bonus mini podcast, BoobTube TV, and this every week. And this week we've done a couple Kolchak episodes. And this week we did season 1, episode 1 of Monsters, the TV show from 1988. Very bizarre, weird show. So we talked about that. Yeah.
Like Tales from the Crypt Light, kind of.
So we do that every week. So find us there. We also post behind the scenes stuff, and it's a cool little small growing community. But that was the other thing, whether it's our Patreon or somebody else's. If you like an artist and you like what they're doing and they're doing something cool, especially for the community they're involved in our case, the horror community, toys, Star Wars, whatever it is, cooking, support them, support an artist in more ways than thumbs up or a like. $1 a month doesn't break anybody, but it does help that artist. And like I said, whether it's us or somebody else, I think Kevin and I are artists in many different ways, whether we're writers or drawers or podcasters or toy makers or whatever we are. It's not only very flattering, but it helps us to keep going with our art that you guys enjoy. So find artists out there that you like and support them. That would be cool. And I think that's it. That's it for this week. This was a fun.
Yeah, it was a good episode, man.
Fun ghoulie talk.
I'm glad to get this one off the list. It's been one that I've been wanting to watch for a long time.
This one and then next week with the Howling. It's gonna be 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, next week we have the Howling. Tune in for that. Until then, I am your host, Adam. That's your other host,
Kevin.
It's Miller time. Nice. That might have been the best one yet, dude.
I think I figured out how to do it.
Where did you hold it on the mic?
I held it in a a very specific spot.
Yeah, remember that spot. Mark it with like a piece of like cheese or something. Rub some cheese on it. All right, folks. Thanks for listening. We will see you next week. Adios.